Hi, my name is Sujit Sumitran, and welcome to one of many such sessions that are being organized by CalSelect. The intention of these sessions is to demystify bread and to help you get a better understanding of what bread is. Now, all of us have experienced bread in some form or the other. We consume bread. And so when you look at bread, uh, there are broadly two kinds of classifications that you can establish. The first is bread that is rustic, and rustic breads are characterized by crusty exteriors, it shatters in your mouth, and a crumb, that's the inside, which tends to be mildly chewy. The flavors and the textures tend to be very bold. That's really what rustic breads are all about. And then you have enriched breads. Enriched breads are enriched with fats like coconut oil or butter or olive oil. They also sometimes have eggs thrown in. They sometimes have milk and cheese thrown in. So anything that enriches the dough or makes it richer is what enriched breads are all about. And these normally have a kind of flaky, crispy crust and a relatively softer crumb. So that's really the difference between rustic breads and enriched breads. But what you get outside when you walk into a supermarket, what you get is what bread geeks would call industrial bread. What is industrial bread? Industrial bread had its genesis in 1961 at a place called Chollywood. That's why the bread made through that process is called the Chollywood process. So, what did they do? They, uh, they made the bread 40% softer, they doubled the shelf life, and they dropped the price. And what they did is they made sure that they were not dependent on bakers who knew how to bake bread because it's now a mechanized process. And this was a high speed and a high temperature mechanized process. And how did they do this? They added a lot of chemical additives. These are typically emulsifiers, dough conditioners. They also added fat, solid fats, and they added yeast 2 to 3 times what was actually required. So what you got was a product which was uniform, which was appealing visually, but which nutritionally was and is extremely empty. So that's really what industrial bread is. But what's real bread? Real bread, in its purest form, has just four components. There's flour, there's water, there's salt, and there's yeast. And in the old days, when I say old days, about 3, 4 thousand years ago, when they used to bake bread, the only way they would bake it is using a fermented mix of flour and water, which was sourdough. So, sourdough bread is also a form of real bread. But in sourdough bread, you have only three components: you have flour, water, and salt. Because the leavening or the rise that you get is from a fermented mix of flour and water. So, this topic is really about real bread versus industrial bread. So, real bread is the purest form of bread that you can buy. It has hardly any components, and that's the beauty of it. Industrial bread, on the other hand, is bread that's been made to ensure that the manufacturer makes profit with little or zero consideration for your wellness. So the next time you go to that supermarket and reach out for that beautifully packed loaf of bread, spare a moment and try and read the ingredient list. And if you find some stuff in that which doesn't sound like English or which your grandmother never used, I'd think twice before consuming that kind of